It's the Muzicheadz Show with Money B on our hot seat, hosted by Martha Samasoni and Suniula Daniels. Later in the show, we're featuring a track from Muzicheadz, but right now, this is You Look So Fine by Money B.
You look so fine, tell me what you want. Hey yo, baby, let me touch you for a sec. I don't need to know your first name, I'll call you baby. Please tell me where you're from, you got me going crazy. Wanna just hold you, let my name Egyptian. The way you move your body, got me thinking you're Egyptian. What file do you use, baby, give me so fly. You got me stuttering, thinking about my next line. Look, B, I gotta go. Before I go, there's two things I really need to know. You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
Let me say fact, my God, you look amazing. Got me gazing, piff body, be you blazing. High graded, your swag I'm highly rated. If you was my girlfriend, I wouldn't take you raving. For the simple fact of bad man be hating. Girls will screw face, they won't like what they're facing. Bro took me, valid points I'm making. I took this time out instead of trying to get this cake in. I pictured you telling I that you're down to ride. Think you're sick, bro, your swagger looking classified. I'm not a sweet boy, I thought I'd get that clarified. But tell me what you want, I swear I keep you satisfied. There's only two things that I wanna know. What you want in a man and where you from? You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
Let's get back to where we left off. Thinking about your flyness, I wonder when you take off. Wanna be on board? First off, I'm thinking about your thick clips, I wanna rip your face off. I'm joking, B, I'm not in it just for that. In it for the ring pop, honeymoon and after that. All of that controlling, I'm not really in on that. Do you, I do, I hope you really keen on that. Let's get to know each other fast, then we take it slow. Maybe go out for a drink, cause you never know. Finish up your glass, baby, let us in the flow. Before we do, there's two things I really need to know. There's only two things that I wanna know. What you want in a man and where you from? You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
I'm feeling kinda bossy.
Why is that?
Cause I call myself a hottie.
What, she got a friend?
She got me feeling naughty.
Yeah.
Hot brown thing, so I think I call it coffee.
Shit.
Anyways, fam, you get the accent. It's a celebration. I'll get the chaps in. What we on after? We decided. Shout out to the DJ, now let's start vibes in. Oh, oh, she's from Zimbabwe. 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 You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
You look so fine, darling, where you from?
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
You look so fine, tell me what you want.
A man that's gonna know how to treat me right.
Mr. G, you're a genius.
I know I do, I come from Zimbabwe.
Money B.
A man that's gonna know how to treat
You're
me
locked into the
right.
hottest half-hour Muzicheadz Show with Martha Samasoni and Suniula Daniels. On the hot seat is hip-hop artist and host of Goin Way Show, Money B. Thanks for joining us, Money B. Now tell us, how did it all begin with you?
Well, how it started was myself and DJ Fuse. We were a group called Raw Fusion, and we were in the Bay Area, Oakland, Berkeley. As we were coming up, you know, we would start doing shows with 3 other guys, and they called themselves Digital Underground. And they were just a local band as well, even though Shot G is originally from New York via Tampa, Florida, and King K is from Florida, and then there was Shotmaster J. But basically, my DJ, Fuse, he was so good. He was like one of the best in the country, actually, because, you know, when they had the DMC Awards and all that stuff. They wanted my DJ, and through our manager, kind of linked us, and Fuse was like, well, I'll be your DJ, but you have to work with Money B as well. So in the beginning, Shock G, he didn't really think that I was a great MC because because I was from Oakland, and I sounded West Coast, and he wasn't used to that. Back in the day, it was all East Coast rappers, and he wasn't really feeling it, but you know, he's like, okay, and we kind of like would just work together just because we had to, and then after a while, we kind of grew into each other. You know what I mean? It became a permanent bond and a friendship that still lasts to this day. But it all started through DJ Fuse because he really wanted my DJ more than anything.
Okay, tell us some more about Digital Underground.
Well, Digital Underground, I would like to think that we're one of the pioneering groups in hip hop, but our first album, Sex Packets, which came out in 1990, featured the Humpty Dance, which was a huge hit. And actually, before Humpty Dance came out, You What You Like, which was our first single, was very huge in Europe. So we were actually famous in Europe before we were famous in the United States. So, and I didn't know that because, you know, like, oh, you're going to go do shows. So in '89, when we were just finishing the album, we didn't know that You What You Like was a huge hit in like Germany and London and all that. We went over there thinking we were just going to go do like a promo run, but we were headlining tours and shows and shit out there, and it was crazy. So, you know, since '89, we've been riding this wave. You know, so the Humpty Dance, there's also the song, Same Song, which was on the Nothing But Trouble soundtrack from the movie. Then, of course, we introduced Tupac to the world, Tupac Shakur, through Same Song, but then he called us back and we did I Get Around with him on his album, Strictly For My Niggas, in 93, 94 or something like that. You know, pretty much, if you want to know about Digital Underground, you can Google any of those facts and you'll find out more about us.
What is one of those highlights for you?
I'm going to make it short, but really, my hip-hop highlight, I have two, but I'll tell you one. One of them was when we did do the song, I Get Around with Tupac. I was at a music convention, and, you know, growing up, I was a huge fan of Run DMC, because when I was like 13, 14, I was like in the 80s, and Run DMC was huge, and they were like the shit. So that was like my favorite group. So I used to have their posters on my wall. I had all their records, and I used to idolize Run DMC. So now I Get Around is out, and I'm at this convention, and I'm walking through, and then I see Run from Run DMC walking towards me, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Run. He walks fast, and he stops. He's like, wait a minute. He's like, aren't you that kid that was on I Get Around? I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, you ripped that. You killed that song. Nice. And I was like, I wanted to faint. I was like, oh my God. Run just said I was dope. So that was cool. So that's probably my best, I would say my best hip-hop moment, you know, other than that, aside from all the accolades and everything else, but, you know, that's whatever.
Sorry, I'm just saying that we're big fans of old school hip-hop, and definitely Run DMC is on that list as well.
Exactly. So the fact that Run recognized me, and now, you know, to this day, I'm really good friends with DMC, you know what I'm saying, because we've done things together, and we actually are sponsored by the same clothing line. I was just in Hawaii with DMC. We did a show together, but we hang out. So the fact that, you know, a guy that I idolized growing up is now a good friend of mine, and definitely, you know, if you want to call it, that's one of my hip-hop moments. It's like, yeah.
We could always use some clothes in New Zealand, so some of your gears.
Tell us about Scott Knox.
Scott Knox is, you know, what I call him is he's the mixtape king of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I met Scott Knox through DJ New Styles, he was the DJ for Digital Underground from 2001, so like 7 years. He was our DJ, and just from knowing him, and we were really close and hanging out, I met Scott Knox, who was his friend from Milwaukee. But as we got to know each other, we realized that we kind of thought the same as far as hip-hop and music and everything. Like, we both appreciate great hip-hop, and we also felt like we wanted to make sure that we continued great hip-hop, meaning like good rhymes and good music, because there's a lot of music out there that, you know, and I don't take anything away from anybody. If you make it, you make it. You know, me and Scott Knox, we work very well together, and we have an album that's going to come out at the beginning of the year. And right now, if you want to see what we sound like, there's a link on YouTube. The name of the song is called This is Mask, that we did it in Hawaii for this clothing line. It's like a commercial, but it's going to be an album. And we're going to release our new single, Killing Them, at the beginning of the year. So look out for Mask, most definitely.
I ain't never designated, I need me a driver. I just killed the club, ain't no survivors. I be killing them, you can't stop it. I be killing them. Hey, little mama, you got it. Hey, straight shots, no water, I don't chase nothing. Pour the whole bottle up, I don't waste nothing. Pour me up 10 shots, I need a lime or two. Baby girl ain't one of his fine as you. Scott Knox, I'm the president of bottle popping. In the W with Money B, model flopping. Let them know we get deep like submarines. What you're losing must be playing for the other team. Milltown millionaires like the cream team. This ain't 92, but bitch, we the dream team. Baby girl feeling good, I think she on E. Before I could make a move, she was on me. Then some nigga walked over, straight hate. Talking about that's his girl, little mama take it. Slow down, don't get over your head, busser. You ain't here with your girl, I'm here with head buzzers. I ain't just designated, I need me a driver. I just killed the club, ain't no survivors. I be killing them, you can't stop it. I be killing them. Hey, little mama, you got it. I ain't never designated, I need me a driver. I just killed the club, ain't no survivors. I be killing them, you can't stop it. I be killing them. Hey, little mama, you got it.
I'm S-O-G-O-O-D. Hop out the whip, drank dripping from my goatee. Call it overkill. Then you ponder on all these hoes hanging around me like a cummerbund. White boy, wasted. Bitches know the plan. They all fucking, so we crush them like soda cans. She don't drink much. She be modeling. One sipper keep her swallowing till tomorrow when she don't stop, baby, blow like a hurricane. Twice my cash right, cruising the left lane. Can't take it with you, so do it to death, man. The perp ain't working if you don't feel the chest pain. Rockstar, nigga, gon' put that mask on. Cheat shit from beginning to the last song. Yeah, my cash strong, and your cash gone. So put your money up, or get your ass on.
I ain't never designated, I need me a driver. I just killed the club, ain't no survivors. I be killing them, you can't stop it. I be killing them. Hey, little mama, you got it. I ain't never designated, I need me a driver. I just killed the club, ain't no survivors. I be killing them, you can't stop it. I be killing them. Hey, little mama, you got it.
So apart from Scott Knox, Tupac, Run DMC, have you worked with any other artists as well?
I worked with so many, from Big Daddy Kane to MC Light to, if you're familiar with Bay Area music, you know, because that's really big, obviously in the Bay Area, but, you know, some of the up-and-coming artists that are starting to grab a hold, like J-Rock, who's from L.A., but Jay Stalin. I mean, you name it. If there's an artist, I can tell you if I've worked with him in any capacity.
Okay, so apart from Run DMC, is there anyone you look up to?
There are a few artists that, like I said, that I look up to just from longevity standpoint. Like I know Red Alert, who's a good friend of mine, and I always appreciate any time he can give me any kind of knowledge or, you know, a word. I always listen. Grandmaster Cass from Cold Crush, if you guys are familiar with the old school. Also, if you guys remember back in the day, an old R&B, I would say, group called Tower of Power. They were from Oakland. Lenny Williams is actually my uncle, and Lenny Williams was sampled in Kanye, I Can Make You a Celebrity, over and like, that singing part, that's Lenny Williams. And that was like his trademark. He always go, So they sampled that, and actually, Scarface sampled Lenny Williams and Girl, You Know I love you. That sample, but that's my uncle. So he's been in the game since the 70s, and he's still doing music. So it's like I don't call him so much for like tell me this, tell me that. But anytime I'm around him, I soak up because he's had longevity in the game. Like to this day, he's probably in his 50s, but he still does sold out concerts when he does shows. People come out to see him because they know his music. like such as the Ohio Players or the the Temptations or whatever. It's one of those groups that's timeless. It's everlasting. And so I strive for us to be like that. And I feel like we are already. But I'm not done. I'm not done creatively, so I'm constantly making music. And actually, we have plans for me and Lenny to do some music together.
Okay, so how do you differentiate hip-hop to rap?
I don't separate or differentiate it. It's like, if you call it hip-hop, you call it rap. Meaning, like, it really is, it's hip-hop is the culture. It's what it is. But if you want to call it rap, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I don't spend time trying to make people differentiate the two. You know what I mean? It's not important to me to make you know the difference. It's like either you do or you don't, if you don't know it already.
So tell us about some of the good and the bad in the industry.
I mean, there's a lot of good. It's like, like I said, I've always been a fan of hip-hop, so anytime I hear good music, I love it. And right now, people say that, the technology has kind of destroyed the music industry the way that it was, meaning like it's not viable to have a major label and to sign artists and whatnot. But right now is the best time for an independent artist because you have the same power as a major and you control your own destiny, meaning that there are so many applications and sites and things that you can upload your music, you can sell it, you can promote it a way that back in the day only a major with a lot of money could do. And now with the technology, you can promote yourself just as much as a major would do. Of course, not to that extent if there's a lot of money being spent. But I feel like it's back in the hands of the artist. I mean, like, if you really are about your thing and people really dig you, you can get yourself out there and create a situation for yourself. That's the great about it. The bad about it is just for the reason I just said. A lot of people get into it just to make a dollar and they don't respect or appreciate the culture or the music. So you might have a guy that, back in the day, you would practice rhyming, you make your songs and spend hours making sure you were great before you presented it. Now, it's just like, oh shit, I can get a few dollars out of this. You might not even be a rapper or you think you are a good rapper. You're just like, I'm not going to make some money. Let me just throw something together. And it's so easy to get it out there, like I said, that a lot of garbage can come out. And, the public is fickle, so who knows what you'll be attracted to. But I see garbage, and I'm like, if it wasn't that easy, you know what I mean? If you didn't have to invest money and time into it, you probably wouldn't take the chance of putting this bullshit out. And then sometimes that bullshit wins. We feed into what we're fed. So if you put a song 10 times a day, it's going to stick in your head and you're going to like it. But that's not to say that it's the best song that you've heard that day or the best song that's coming out. You know what I mean?
So what are some of the things that you're doing now?
Well, obviously we have the Mask album, Money B and Scott Knox. But I also have a live band. They're from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we're called the K&M, but they're originally called the James Douglas Show. And they're like a funk R&B cover band. But together we created like some funk, rock, hip-hop, alternative type music, which is so much of a departure from the music that I'm making with Mask, which is the reason that they can coexist, because they don't cross each other's lines, separate lanes. And then I'm also doing a Money B solo album, which is in its own lane in itself, meaning that I've been in the game so long that I don't feel like I have to prove to anybody that I'm this or that I'm that. So I like good music. And I also like popular music. I've been doing some of that as well, but I'll keep it to my solo projects because I will be the one that's liable and responsible with whatever comes with the music that I'm presenting. So I do have a solo project. And that me and Rise Guys have a group, Stupid Americans, which is kind of like diving into the dubstep, electronica dance world. So it's myself, Rise Guys, 4 Racks out of Oakland, and a couple other cats. But that's another project that I'm working on. So I feel like everything that I'm working on, they'll have their own lane, and they kind of don't get in the way of the other thing. So they can all be working simultaneously in different genres of music. And that's kind of like how I am, because I appreciate all music, and I'm all over the place with it.
Listen. I sag my jeans, boxer showing outside, I don't talk to no one. I'm too real, imposters posing. Ill lifestyle is not the clothing. Club so hot, her nose is frozen. Kinda feeling like overdosing. Uncontrollable, no controlling. Drive around town and something stolen. Conventional wisdom, walls closed in. You trapped in that, I'm unfolding. Brain implode, heart exploding. I'll you up, leave you molding. You can't tell me what to do, and you can't tell me what to think. And you can't tell me how I feel when I smoke this and pop this pill. Mom, pops, principal, police, never listen to what authority told me. Out of control, you can't hold me. Out of control, detention, like I've been duty. Break all your rules, I wanna do me. Your authority, you can't hold me. I'm out of control.
I don't know where I'm going. Nobody tell me when I get there. Living this happy journey. No, I ain't scared. Man, I swear y'all don't know me. No, I don't live here. No, I don't live here. I'm out of control. I'm out of control.
Yeah, I love tattoos, my pierce my face. I like my tunes with 808. Bro step wobble, drum and bass. Drink in the parking lot and catching case. Stoned by my family, feel disgrace. Shrooms, I can't feel my face, but I'm feeling great. Fight break out, let's instigate. Yep, gym, I ditch class. Roam around school with no hallway pass. Just laugh when the fly bitch pass. Stick in the boys' bathroom and it ass. You can't tell me what to do, and you can't tell me what to think, and you can't tell me how I feel when I smoke pop this pill. Mom, pops, principal, police, never listen to what authority told me. Out of control, you can't hold me. Out of control. Detention, pension, lock up and duty. Break all your rules, I wanna do me. Your authority, you can't hold me. I'm out of control.
I don't know where I'm going. No, but I tell you when I get there. Living is half the journey. No, I ain't scared. Man, I swear y'all don't know me. No, I don't live here. No, I don't live here. I'm out of control. I don't know where I'm going. No, but I tell you when I get there. Living is half the journey. No, I ain't scared. Man, I swear y'all don't know me. No, I don't live here. No, I don't live here. I'm out of control. I'm out of control. I don't know where I'm going. No, but I tell you when I get there. Living is half the journey. No, I ain't scared. Man, I swear y'all don't know me. No, I don't live here. No, I don't live here. I'm out of control. I don't know where I'm going. No, but I tell you when I get there. Living is half the journey. No, I ain't scared. Man, I swear y'all don't know me. No, I don't live here. No, I don't live here. I'm out of control.
So where does your name come from, Money B?
Oh, the name, Money D? That's funny because I've had that name since I was like 13 years old. And it was just random because when I got the name Money D, I wasn't even rapping so much. I was more like a breakdancer and a DJ back in the day. And I was like 13 years old and I'm thinking about names and I wrote a bunch of names down and I asked my cousin, I was like, should I be Egyptian Kid or Money D? And he was like, be Money D. And I was like, okay. And that was it. And that was Money D after that. You know, all through high school and everything, everybody, all my friends call me Money D. It's not an extra persona of it. It's really just me. That's who I've been since I was a teenager.
Now, have you ever toured outside America?
Yeah, plenty of times. We actually toured Australia, and I thought that we were going to make it to New Zealand. We were supposed to. They had potentially booked like 3 shows in New Zealand after we toured Australia. And we were doing shows with the Decepticons. Remember them? Yeah, so we were doing shows with them. So this was like maybe early 2000s, like 2004 or some shit like that. Whenever that was. But and Fig Kid and somebody else that was from New Zealand, but we were doing shows in Australia and they tried to book us. We were going to stay over and go to New Zealand, but it never happened. So I would love to come out there.
Okay, so there must have been a funny moment on tour. Can you tell us any of those?
Oh man, I can tell you a million of them. Let me think of something really funny. Well, one time we were doing a show. We were in Holland, either Amsterdam or Rotterdam. I forget. We were in Holland, and one of our guys, he liked to smoke weed, but he hadn't had weed. We were in Europe for like a whole month, and he hadn't had no weed. So we get to Holland and we were in Amsterdam, and I had a friend out there, and he was growing. So I got him some weed, and I was like, Doc, don't smoke all this weed. He's like, fuck that shit. And he just wanted to smoke. So he smoked all the weed. And we were performing on a stage that was like about 6 feet high. One of the things he used to do, he got to run to the stage and he used to like throw popcorn and champagne and shit out in the crowd. So he used to have to run to the fucking stage. And he used to wear these scarves. So he's high and we're on a 6-foot stage and he comes running to the front and he can't stop. And he starts doing it and he just goes flying out to the front of the crowd.
Oh my God.
And we was like, oh shit. We looked down and he just went wild. And he was a bigger dude, right? So, he wasn't like no little guy. He was like a fat guy. So, of course, everybody moved out the way. So he just fell right on the floor. Wow.
He just fell flat on the floor.
And so, yeah, nobody caught him. And then so we looked over there and we was like, oh shit, the music kind of stopped for a second. And then he popped up. And once we knew he was all right, we just fell out on the floor. I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. And so Shock, he went backstage and he missed it. So when he came back on stage, every time I looked at Fuse, who was DJing, we couldn't stop laughing. And he was like, what y'all laughing at? And we were just falling out. So then after the show, once the show was over, we went backstage, and I swear to God, I laughed for like maybe like 20 minutes straight. Just on the floor. It was the funniest shit ever.
Oh my God.
Couldn't believe it.
Lucky nobody got hurt.
Yeah, he was alright. Once he popped up, then it was like funny. I was like, oh, because when he fell, we was like, oh shit, dead.
What do you do in your spare time?
You know what? I do a lot of things, but I want to say everything is a derivative of the music industry, meaning that I also have a radio show. It's called the Goin Way Show with Money B. And what it is, it's an old school hip hop radio show that I do, a radio show and podcast. And you can check it out at goinwaybackshow.com, which is GOINWAYBACKSHOW.com. And it's basically, it's an old school hip hop show. So I play music from like 1999 and earlier. And it's become, it's become pretty popular. And it's a site and a podcast and a radio show that I'm building. I've actually taken maybe a 5-month hiatus from the show. Just because, but I'm at the top of the year, I'm going to start it back. But, I do that, and it takes a good amount of time to produce and present that show because it's me, myself, that I produce, direct, host the show, and also host my own site. So everything that you get from it is directly from me. So when you respond to it, I'm going to respond right back to you. And because that show became popular, a lot of new artists was like, well, can I get my new song? So I actually started another site called MoneyBListens.com, which is it's totally for exposure of new artists. So if you're a new artist or if you're an upcoming artist, you have a video or music that you want to be heard and you want to network with other new artists, then go to MoneyBListens.com. That's MoneyB, MoneyBListens, MoneyBListens.com. And you can be seen, be heard, network with new artists, and it's a platform for new music. So I have 2 sites that I'm running. I have an old school hip hop show and site, but I also have a new artist site. So those are the 2 things that I'm spending a lot of my time with. I stay on the road with Digital Underground, so me and Shock, we interact all the time. We're not doing new music together. I don't know if he's ready to do new music. I'm always doing music. And I also manage DJs and producers. So I manage that. So I deal with people on a daily. I manage personalities and artists, and I have these 4 projects, but I'm on the road with Digital Underground, so my plate is full, most definitely.
Do you have anyone you want to shout out?
Obviously, I want to shout out Scott Knox, KNN, Digital Underground, Cletus Mack, Razcast, Stupid American, and just everybody that appreciates what we do. And, shout out to you, of course, and the show for having me. I appreciate that. But, just check me out. Check out Mask. The videos on YouTube. This is Mask. Check out the KNN when you hear about it. Stupid Americans when it come out. Check out Razcast. Check out Digital Underground. Check out Money B. Just check it out. And check out, of course, the Goin Way Show. GoinWayBackshow.com.
Do you have any shush outs? Is there anyone out there that you want to shush out?
That I want to shush out? A shush out? Not really, because if I mention them, then that's a shout out. It's like, a shush out is a shout out. If I say, well, I want to shush out this guy. Now you're like, who's this guy? And you might go look him up. But I don't want you to look him up. We all shush out the haters. Like, who likes them? They know they're not liked. And to be honest with you, I'm so not a negative person that I don't even think about the negative. So the people that I want to discount, I don't even think about them. I don't direct my energy towards negative at all. So if it's something or somebody that I'm not feeling or I feel like it's not in my best interest, then I just don't deal with it. I only deal with what's working for me and what's positive, and everybody else, whatever, good luck.
And there you have it, Money B on the Muzicheadz Show with Martha Samasoni and Suniula Daniels. Don't forget to subscribe with the Muzicheadz Show on YouTube and www.muzicheadz.com for more celebrity interviews.